Hi everyone and welcome back. Mindy here today for Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to be creating some Christmas ornaments using lots of different stamps and products from Lawn Fawn. So the main element that I'm going to be using is the How You Bean add-on. I'm starting off first by using the How You Bean stamp set with that little jar. So I'm using the Lawn Fawn white cardstock. I'm just taking an acrylic block and I'm placing that jar stamp on there. I found this easiest to do it this way versus using my MISTI tool. So I'm just stamping a bunch of these. And now I'm going to go through a bunch of different stamp sets. I have them listed here at the top of the screen, and I'm just picking out some small images that I thought would work. I don't end up using all of them, but I was just planning ahead. I like to create little handmade presents for the teachers and the aides at the school that work with my kids, and it's always fun to come up with something unique because the teachers just get such a big charge out of it. And I thought doing these little ornaments or shaker ornaments would be the perfect gift for them. So I'm stamping these all out. I am using the MISTI tool to do this. You could also use the acrylic block. And I'm using the Lawn Fawn jet black ink to stamp all of these so I can do some Copic coloring. Now I'm going to go into the Copic coloring, and I do have this sped up quite a bit because I wanted to focus more on putting the actual ornaments together. So I did speed this up. I do have all of the colors listed at the top of the screen that I used. I try to keep them pretty simple. I still wanted to have dimension, but I didn't want to go overboard since there is a lot of coloring to do. And honestly, once they get inside of the little ornament, you're not going to notice too much whether something is shaded or not. So they'll all be listed there for you. You can have for reference. You can pause the video at any time to write those down. I am using numerous stamp sets, including the Say What Christmas Critters, the Fairy Friends. I thought little Christmas fairies would be really cute. I didn't end up using them in this video. I did have some oopses while creating, so they didn't quite make it to the video. But Christmas fairies I thought would still be really cute. Ready, Set, Snow. The Simply Celebrate Winter, so you have the presents and a cute little snowman there. Toboggan Together, I used a few different images. And so you can see I just going through doing some real quick coloring. The hair is the only one that I do have a 3-color blend. And then going in real lightly with some light blue, the B00 for the wings. No fancy shading, didn't blend it out, just left them as is. The red for the dresses, I did use the same as the Christmas presents, so the R39 and R24. And for my snowman, I thought I'd change it up a little bit and bring in some purple, so the V15 and the V12. And then back to those two combinations, the red and the green. The snowman, you can see I'm just adding some real light shading just to the one side of the snowman and blending it out. I didn't color in the snowman completely, so I left them mainly white. I just wanted to have a little bit of definition there. The reindeer here and the penguin is from the Toboggan Together stamp set. And I tried to give them some little rosy cheeks when I could, if I remember to. I think the little winter critters having rosy cheeks is always super cute. The llama, I just did the dot effect, so I went in with a few different colors and just added dots to it. It kind of gave it some texture. The unicorn and llama were another two that I didn't end up using, but I still wanted to leave this in here for you just in case you wanted to see how I colored that up. So once I have all of those colored, I'm going to go ahead and use the coordinating dies to die cut them all out, and I'm using some Post-it tape to hold that in place. To color the jars, I started with a B00, but I ended up switching to a B000. I thought that was just a little bit lighter. You really don't even need to worry too much about the color because we're cutting the inside part of the jars out. I just wanted to have a little something there. And then a C4 and a C2 for the jars. I did put the darker part on what you're looking at as the top of the jar. I will end up flipping these, so that'll be at the bottom. Now we're going to take this How You Bean add-on, And I'm taking the one where it's going to cut out the middle. That is going to be our window. So I'll make sure I have this lined up, and I'll go through and cut all 6 of these. So here are all of my jars die cut out, and I'm flipping them because this is how my ornament is going to end up being. I want the lid of the jar at the bottom. And then I'm taking, there is a die on here that cuts the entire shape. So I'm cutting a few of these out with some Bristol Smooth cardstock so I can do some ink blending for some of my backgrounds. I also went ahead and used some pattern paper. I wasn't quite sure what my game plan was going to be yet for them, but I gave myself some options. So some of the backgrounds, you could use some pattern paper for them. Then I also have a few more with the Bristol Smooth cardstock. And that will be the background that our images are going to get put on top of. So you can see this lines up really nice. Be able to see right through. That pattern paper was really cute as a background. And then I also die cut some out of chili pepper and cilantro cardstock. This is going to be for the back of the tag. And I'll show you why in just a little while. So these are the back of the tag. I'm using the Say What Christmas Critters sentiments on here. So I went ahead and using the Misty tool, just stamped Merry Christmas. I could have stamped everything at once that I'm going to put on the back, but for some reason I just wanted to get this out of the way, and then I could line up the rest of my sentiments. I have a to and from. The to has the line under it, so I'm going to go ahead and write the name of the teacher or the aide. And then the from, I like this because there's no line under it, and I'm actually going to have my son write his name in there, and he doesn't necessarily stay on the line. So this works out really perfect. This will be the back of the tag, so we can personalize these to give to the teachers. Next, I'm going to do some quick ink blending. I'm starting with Tumble Glass and Mermaid Lagoon. And like I said, there was no real plan to what was going to line up on what. So these were just kind of nice colors to have, I thought. So I just blended those out. This one is Spun Sugar and Picked Raspberry. So it was a really pretty pink. I do use this one in the video you'll see here in a little bit. And it doesn't have to be real perfect as far as the ink blending because, like I said, once you get them all put together and the images in there, it's going to be kind of hard to tell, but it does add a little bit of interest to them. And I think this one is my favorite. This one is the Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn. And these are the Distress Oxide inks that I'm using with the mini sponge dauber or the finger dauber. It just worked out really well to have those daubers to do the ink blending. Next, an idea I had was using some of the Pixie Dust glitter cardstock and cutting out some of Stitched Hills. This is a Stitched Hillside Borders die. So I did do a few of them, and I cut them down into small strips. And then I'm taking that backer piece. Now this is still the How You Bean add-on, and this is the full piece. And I die cut those hills out of it so it's going to fit the shape of the jar perfectly. You can see I'm kind of lining it up. This one ended up being a little bit too far down. So I do adjust that once I go to put the tag together or the ornament together. But it was just something really cute. I love having glitter in my items, my Christmas tags and ornaments. So this was just a little bit more fun to add to them. So I'll go ahead and die cut a few more like that. Next, I'm also going to take that backer die and I'm going to die cut some acetate. This is going to be the window if you wanted to turn these into shaker cards, or I think it's great just to have a window on it to protect the images a little bit. Now for this part, what I took was some just regular white craft foam and I cut them into strips that I know is going to fit the window shaker part. You can see there on the left hand side. I'm using some of the Stick It adhesive. Now this is double-sided, so there's adhesive on both sides of this. I cut them down into strips, and I'm covering one side of my foam with this Stick It adhesive, and then I'm going to flip that strip over and add another piece of the Stick It adhesive. This is really great if you have these small areas and you want to make a shaker card or any type of shaker item. This stick-it adhesive is perfect because it's going to give you even coverage all over the place. So the die that cuts out the window, I'm just lining that up, cutting off the excess. I ran that through my die cut machine and you could see it cuts this perfect shape. I did it individually because I didn't want to completely flatten all of my foam. If I kept running that through my machine, it was going to flatten it quite a bit, which it did on even the individual pieces. It does kind of pop up a little bit, but I didn't want to run it all at once. So now it's hard to see on the screen, but what I'm doing is I'm using the Lawn Fawn glue and I'm gluing down my top piece to the acetate. And I just kind of spread that out with my finger. I spread the glue out a little bit. So I got my acetate glued to the window cardstock, removed that backing sheet, so that's sticky right there, and then attached the front part of the ornament to that. So you can see that's going to create your shaker part. If you want to turn these into shakers, I actually recommend doubling up that foam, so cutting out 2 of them and gluing together. I did try and do some shakers, and my items didn't move around very well in there when I just did the 1 layer. So if you were doing a shaker, I would suggest maybe 2 of those foam pieces with the stick-it adhesive on them. I think that would just give you a lot more room, a lot more fun to shake it up and have them move. And I will show you one of the shakers I did here in just a little bit. So I'm doing 2 of them here for you at once, so you can see them both. I don't include all of them in the video just because this video is already long enough, but I did want to give you a couple examples. So you can see I just attached that, and I'm just cleaning off the window with a Swiffer. If you're going to add any sequins or anything in there, do not use the Swiffer cloth because it's going to be super staticky. You want to use an anti-static powder tool to clean off any static if you want to do a shaker. So now this one with the little snowman is one that I tried to do with a shaker. And like I said, I think it would work out better if I would have had 2 layers of the foam, but this is still really cute and I still wanted to show you how you would do this. So I attached my acetate to that front piece of cardstock, attached my foam. You can see it lines up really well. I'm removing my backer sheet there and then coming in with that anti-static powder tool. This is going to help remove any stickiness from the inside. And then I have some little seed beads here, so I just kind of scooped up a little bit, put them in there. And then I can go ahead and take my background piece and attach that right to the card. Give that a good push, flip it over, push it down, it's a little bit easier. You can see there wasn't a lot of room for those seed beads to move, so I do think the double layers would have worked out better, but it's still really cute and I'm still going to use it. Next, I'm going to decorate the bottom of my ornament. So I am using the large wreath die, and I'm going to die cut my wreath pieces out of the cilantro cardstock. I'm also taking the bow and I'm using some of the red glitter cardstock. This is out of the Sparkle pack. So it cuts me 2 at once. I'm only going to use 2 pieces of the wreath for each ornament, and I'm just using the Lawn Fawn glue to glue those right down at the bottom. And these will stick really nice. And I'll do the same thing for my snowman one. I do have a few different variations that I started kind of playing with, and I'll show some of those examples in just a moment. Now for the bows, I was trying out a couple different ways as far as making sure these stayed glued together. The first way I tried is using this skinny score tape, and I believe this is the 1/8. I'll have to double check, and I'll have it listed here shortly, the exact size of it, but this seemed to work out really good. I just ran a strip down the middle of the bows and added a couple little pieces off on the side. So I did that for both of those. I'll remove the backing, and then to put these bows together, you are going to fold your ends towards the middle. You could round them out if you wanted. I flattened mine into a nice crease. But you can see I just rolled that one side up, pushed it to the middle, and I did that on both sides. And using that double-sided adhesive really works well. It's going to be glued together really well. It's not going to come apart. So I did that for both of those. I also used it for some of my other samples that I had done. And now for that little strip, I'm adding some more of that score tape on both of those, just running a thin strip down. And then I'm going to remove that backing, and this is just going to wrap right around the center of the bow. And it does kind of overlap onto the glitter cardstock itself, and this seemed to have held up really well. Now to attach the tails, a couple of them I used some of the score tape, a couple of them I added some of the liquid glue. Both of those adhesive options works great. These have been sitting here for a while on my desk now, and they're still holding up perfectly. So both of those adhesive options will work depending what you have on hand. So I added my tail. I added a little bit more of that score tape. And then I just gave it a good push and put it right in the middle of my ornament. So I'll do the same thing for my second one, adding a little bit of that score tape to the middle. And then I can attach that right under there. And I think these just worked out super cute. I'm really hoping the teachers like these. To attach some ribbon so that they can hang these, if you want to use them for tags, you certainly can. I was envisioning ornaments when I was creating them. So I'm taking some of that double-sided adhesive again, or that score tape, and I have a piece of ribbon there that I just folded down so my ends are in the middle of this ornament. And I'm running that score tape all around in the back, making sure to keep my ribbon ties kind of even there. So I just completely covered that, and I'm going to do the same thing on my other one. So just running that score tape all the way through. And then I'll go ahead and remove the backing to all of this, and I'm going to attach either the cilantro or the chili pepper cardstock where I have my sentiments stamped on there. And I'll just give those a good push down, and these really held up. So that's covering up the area where you put your ribbon down. So it's just giving it a nice clean finished look to your ornament or your tag if that's what you decide to use them for. So this is just putting the finishing touches on these two ornaments. And then I'll hold them up, and you can see they hold up really well. The ribbon is nice and centered so that if they hang them on the tree, they're nice and even. And I also wanted to show you one more option as far as decorating the bottom here. I used some of the green glitter cardstock from the Sparkle glitter pack, and I also die cut a gold glitter bow from that as well. So I just wanted to show you that there is another option to really decorate these up. There's actually lots of options that you could do, and they just are so cute. These are such a great gift to give to anybody, whether it's the teachers or co-workers, friends, anything. I just thought these were really super cute. And you could also do the Ready Set Snow add-on as well. So here are the few that we created. You could see I did do a reindeer with some glitter. And then this was actually an original one I had played around with where I actually had the images on the front of the acetate. So it was just a few different things I was playing with. And these are taking a closer look at all the examples. So I really hope you enjoyed all of these today. It gave you some ideas for the holiday season. Thank you so much for joining me, and have an amazing day.